Yay, we have a mission accomplished. Hi, guys, everybody out there. We had some trouble getting her on video, but now she's there in all her glory. Hello, Emma.
Hi.
Hello.
We're all good to go.
Good deal. Hi, Erik. How are you doing?
He's saying, hi, Mama. I love you.
So you know what? I love you, too. Of course you know that. It goes without saying.
He's dirty today. I don't know what he's been doing.
He's what?
He's dirty.
All filthy? What, have you been gardening or mud wrestling, alligator wrestling? What's it been?
He says, no, I've been working on my bike. I got to keep
Oh.
He says, I have to make sure I keep in touch with my human feelings.
Oh, is that important? Really? Hang on, I'm going to get Bella. She's clamoring to get up. Bella, where'd she go? Okay, whatever. Come here. You want to sit in my lap or not? Good. Okay.
He says, hi.
She got a little haircut.
Oh, she's so cute.
Anywho, well, today we are going to interview, if Erik can get her, Madame Marie Curie. Curie. Oh, that's the Indian version of her. Oops. Curie. Madame Curie. Sorry. Oh, God. She's going to get me now.
Well, she's here.
Tell me what she looks like.
A little bit like me, to be honest.
Really? How interesting.
She has this scruffy hair like me, kind of scruffy hair. She doesn't look very tall. She's about my height, but I'm about 5'1", so she's about my height, maybe a little smaller. She's smiling.
Hello, Madame Curie.
Her energy seems very reserved. I don't know if that's the right word, but kind of closed.
Okay.
Very.
Do you mind if we ask you some questions?
She says, not a problem. Go ahead.
All right, and thank you, Erik, for getting her. I appreciate it. You're a go-to guy.
He says, I got her with my bike. You should have seen her on the back.
Oh, boy. Hair flying and all messy now, probably.
It's all poofy.
So, Madame Curie, what was your spiritual mission or your life purpose or both in your life as Madame Curie?
Well, she says, when I look at it from my human perspective, I felt that my life was all about grief, loss, love, and passion.
Mm.
From a spiritual perspective, it was all about acceptance, about finding truth within myself, and about perseverance.
Well, that goes along with loss and grief, etc. You have to learn acceptance. You have to learn perseverance and so on. So that makes a lot of sense. Were you here to learn anything beside that? That's a big one, though. That's pretty much a Chinese menu of things that we as souls need to learn.
She says, for me personally, it was about staying true to myself. Okay. It was about not letting anybody tell me I couldn't do it.
Good. All right. Were you here to teach anything, actually?
She says, of course, we're all here to teach something.
Oh, good. I did not know that. All right. What were you here to teach?
She says, well, it was very obvious. I was here to teach persistence, to not give up, and I was here to be a role model to women to not fall under men's authority and to not take, she goes, it's almost like she wants to say not take crap from people, but she's using a different word that I'm not really familiar with.
Okay.
But I think that's what she's trying to say. She says, I was here to not only to show women that anything you can dream about, anything where your passion is, that you can follow it and you can break the rules in order to achieve that. I was also here to help the world in the scientific and medical evolution. So to push that further along, especially into medicine.
Yeah, you were a trailblazer for women. I mean, women back then. They didn't achieve things like this. I mean, it was very rare. So my hat's off to you.
She says, yes, women in my days were not considered to be intelligent enough to do high studies. They were not intelligent enough to achieve great achievements, great discoveries, especially not in science.
Yeah.
Anything that was medical, scientific, physics, anything in that area was considered to be men territory. So I was pretty lonely in a group of a lot of men. However, I did feel that I got respect from them. And they did consider me as one of their own.
So you didn't
So
get criticism? They didn't put you down? Nothing like that?
some authorities did, but the people that I worked with did not.
Oh, good. Because they knew what you were capable of, I guess.
They did, and they also supported me in getting the awards that I deserved because for a long time they did try to um, award my husband and my colleagues for my work.
Oh,
They refused to accept the awards unless my name was on that Nobel
good
Prize.
for him.
Yeah, they came up for me, and I was very proud to be
That's
surrounded by
awesome.
people who were that open-minded because it was very rare in those
Yeah.
days.
Well, speaking of awards, what do you think your greatest accomplishment was? And it doesn't have to be in science; it can be in other aspects of your life.
Well, unfortunately, it was science, she says. However, I don't want people to think that I gave my life to science.
Hmm.
I gave my life to my passion. Science to me was like a child reading a fairy tale. It was about discovery. It was about finding new places and new areas that nobody had gone before yet. It was all about the search, about the discoveries, about kind of risking yourself going into unknown territory. For me, that was very magical, and that was my passion. So I didn't do science just for the science. I did it because that was where my heart was, and that was where I found joy and happiness. So
So,
all the rest was just a bonus.
so
I just
basically, you were the child. The book was the fairy tale was science, and the passion was reading the book.
exactly. It
I
was
gotcha.
it was about almost it was almost a spiritual experience if you look at it. If
Hmm.
I look at it from now, from my perspective now, it's almost like I could put my soul in an unknown country and basically learn all these new things and then share it with the world. So it was very special to me, and I worked my ass off for it. But I wouldn't trade any minute for it. It was what I loved. It was not about the achievements. It was not about the awards. It was really about me feeling comfortable in that area. In a way, it was also a way of it was like my refuge. It was a way for me to get away from the world. This
Mm.
made sense to me. This was logical. It was I could follow steps. I could follow routines. Everything was written down. Everything had an order to it, an
And what were
order
you
that
trying to get away from? What were you trying to get away from?
I was trying to get away from dealing with grief. I was not very good at um, coping with that. It was
Yeah,
something
it's
that I
hard.
couldn't close off. I
Yeah.
lost my baby sister when I was
Oh,
9. I lost my mother when I was 12.
oh gosh.
I lost a lover that I was very much in love with. I lost my husband very early, and then I lost a second lover that I really loved. So there
Oh
was a lot of
gosh.
love in my life, but also a lot of loss. And as a young child, when I lost my mother, well, my mother had typhus, and
God, keep your fingers crossed. People, we have been having all sorts of trouble with Skype, so I might have to just, if it freezes again, I'll just have to uninstall it and reinstall it or something. I don't know. So I'm
We'll
ready.
just restart then.
Yeah.
Marsha's going, we'll just restart. It's okay.
Oh my God. Anyway,
Um,
so
she doesn't call herself Marie. She calls herself Marsha, which I thought that's
really,
funny. Yeah.
okay. Can I call you Marcia?
Oh, she says yes. I like that.
Marcia. All right, we'll try this again. We were talking, you guys missed it, but take my word for it that she said that she had a lot of losses that she talked about, including a mother of typhus. And, one of her life purposes was to learn acceptance. And I'm trying to learn acceptance of this problem with Skype. But she said she really did not completely learn, is of course, having other lives to achieve that end goal. Now, um, the next question is, what were your greatest challenges? I think all those losses are probably it, but what would you say?
Motherhood.
Oh, God, yes. Raising 5 of them, I can tell you, girl. I understand.
She says, well, first of all, I had 2 girls.
Mhm.
Um, I did love them. However, again, I was unable to connect with them very deeply because I wouldn't allow myself to fall into that unconditional love that might hurt me again later on.
If you lost them, yeah.
So I never lost them, thank God. However, looking back at it now, I should have been able to balance my passion with my girls more. I didn't spend enough time with them. I know they resented me for that.
Mm.
However, it was more of a self-defense mechanism for me because I could not stand the idea of losing them as well. So I later on saw that that was wrong, and I should have let them help me, and bring them in and help mother. But I didn't. So that is one of my regrets. However, they know that I love them, and yeah, motherhood was challenging because
Okay.
it's almost like I knew I was not doing my job as a mother as it should.
Mm.
However, I couldn't bring myself to really love them in such a way that a mother should.
Absolutely. I totally get it. Now, what do you know? What do you know now that you wish you had known then? I mean, is something you'd like to share with the world? That's the next question.
Well, she says, my message, if there was one thing that I could tell people that might help them now in their lives, that might help humanity, it is that nothing in life should be feared. It's only to be understood.
Hmm.
So now is the time to understand more so that we can fear less.
So that's interesting. Instead of fearing, try to understand.
Yes, knowledge leads to a peaceful, understanding community. It leads to acceptance, and it leads to progress. So if we could all set our fears aside and start educating ourselves and start um, putting limitations and restrictions and judgment aside, then we could all learn from one another and we could all grow together into a more peaceful society.
Well, that's really very powerful. So if anybody out there is afraid of something, try to understand it. Gain all the knowledge you can. It's called Google, people. And maybe that will assuage your fears. I like that.
She says
Um,
also personal fears. If you can see where the root is of your fear,
mm,
it will help you understand that the fear is based on an untruth, on an illusion that we have created for ourselves. So if we can reveal the truth behind our fears, you also reveal the truth about you, then you can accept it and move on.
wow, that's awesome. I really like that. Now, during this discovery of radium, you had to sift through 10 tons of pitch blende to get 1 millionth of that amount of radium. Is radium an element that is naturally present on Earth? If
Yes,
not, okay, because if not, where did it come from? And how did it get to Earth? So it's naturally occurring on Earth.
really on Earth. Yes.
Did you know that it was going to be a danger to you?
No.
How did you die? Was it from that? Sorry, I don't know, Marcia, but did you die from radiation sickness?
She says most people think that I died from the research that I did. I did not. She says, however, I died from the x-rays that I took without protection. I did not know
Oh,
x-ray machine that we used to help um, the soldiers in World War One would damage us in such an amount.
yeah.
So it really affected my blood, she says. So she got some kind of anemia or leukemia or something. She's
Okay.
just showing me blood that's not in the right shape.
Okay.
Uh, so it was mostly from that. It was mostly from, we did thousands of x-rays without
Oh
protection.
boy.
It's from that, not um, from diluting the radium and you
Okay.
know and all
Okay.
that. It was not from that. It was more from the x-rays. That's
Okay.
what,
Now you
of course,
also,
the research, she says, didn't really help.
yeah,
Um, that
probably
was not
not.
it did make us ill and fatigued, things like that, but it wasn't the cause of my death.
Okay. Now you also had a lifelong struggle with depression. You were reported to have been suicidal and even of having a nervous breakdown the year after you won your second Nobel Prize when the news of your affair with Paul Langevin was reported in the French press. It is written that you were in fear of your life from Paul's wife, Jean. So, can you make some comments along those lines about your depression and about the affair and about your fears for your life?
Well, she says, my first depression started when I was 12, when my mother died. I tried to commit suicide then.
Mm,
My father sent me to family in the country, which really helped me. I got away from everything. That was my first heavy, heavy depression. And then with Paul, his wife found out about us. She portrayed me as this a marriage breaker, as this person who would intervene or interfere in a marriage and literally rip the husband away from his wife. However, what the press didn't know is that they had already been separated for a year and
mm,
living separately for a year. Um, so she really tried to hurt me. I did fear for my life. She was very violent. She was a very mean-spirited. And the only reason she didn't want her husband to leave her was basically for the financial status.
ah,
So for her, if she would have lost him, she would have lost everything.
oh,
And so I did become very depressed because I did love him. I did fall in love with him after Pierre, my husband, died.
mm,
And it was a loss that was forced upon me. It was a
yeah,
loss that I didn't choose. It was a loss that, although he did love me, because of the pressure of the press, he had no choice than to go back to his wife.
mm.
Also, he said. So again, I was
So he
forced
went
into.
back to his wife?
He did. He
Oh,
went back to his wife, and I was left behind with the reputation of, being a marriage breaker, being a husband robber, if you want to look at it
okay.
that way. I lost a lot of popularity. I also lost support in my research,
Mm.
which really affected me because
Oh
that was the
God,
one
yeah.
I was holding on to. That was my mission, my passion, my love. So the one thing that I loved was almost taken away from me as
Mm.
well because of this. And I had done nothing wrong. I just fell in love with a man who wasn't with his wife anymore.
Right, right.
Um, so yes, I did consider suicide again.
But did you attempt it at all?
I didn't attempt it. I thought about it.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the next question. You did some research into the occult by observing the work of medium Eusapia Palladino. Did you believe it was possible to communicate with the dead, or that a person's energy was still present after death?
Well, she says, let me explain it a little bit earlier. I was raised with a mother who was a Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
and my father was an atheist.
Okay.
I was an agnostic, she says. Pierre was like me. Whatever we couldn't prove or see, we had our doubts about. We weren't sure. We couldn't prove it, so okay, we'll just leave it aside.
Mm-hmm.
Um, However, Pierre convinced me to go see this medium, and he thought it might be possible to discover in spiritualism, the source of an unknown energy that would reveal the secrets of radioactivity. That's what our mission was. However, after we went, it seemed more like trickery to us. It seemed more like magicians,
Okay.
tricks. There were floating tables, and there was, so we didn't get convinced by it.
So you
That
thought it was a
there,
parlor, they were all parlor tricks.
yeah, it was. She says there wasn't really any evidence. She couldn't produce anything that she could not have known. It was more about flying objects. It
Ah,
was about light tricks and things like that. So to
okay.
us, it was just trickery. It could be explained as, if you look at the magicians, it was pretty
Mm-hmm.
similar.
Could be
So
smoke and mirrors, yeah.
we weren't convinced.
Did you ever get any communication from your sister, your mother, or Pierre after he died?
No.
Okay. All right. On to the next one. It's my understanding that you
Robert,
communicated. Oh, wait.
I
Here
was,
it goes. What? Here it says, it is my understanding. This is from a blog member, by the way. Hi, Cindy. It is my understanding that you communicated with your husband Pierre after his death in 1906 by writing in a journal. Were the two of you communicating in automatic writing? So I guess that might not be true. You didn't communicate with your husband Pierre?
I wrote to him.
Oh, but
I
you don't
wrote
feel
to
like
him.
it was. You don't feel like
But
it was communication from him.
yeah, it was more of a release of, I couldn't talk to him anymore, and I was very lonely.
Yeah.
Uh, I lost the one person that that really supported me and that really loved me. So it was my way of communicating to him.
Okay.
I would imagine him responding back, but I never really heard anything, or I never felt anything. It was just a way for me to have a relationship, or to communicate with the one person that I missed dearly.
I
So
bet it was
yeah.
wonderful meeting him after you crossed over, huh?
Well, she says, I didn't really meet him at first. I saw my death coming. I had a slow death, so I knew I
Mm.
was going. The first thing I remember when I crossed over was just kind of darkness. It was just dark.
Maybe because you
And
were agnostic, so you didn't have a belief system to create any
yeah,
sort
I
of.
had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, when it's over, it's over. We'll just see what happens. So I didn't really have an idea on where I was going. But it didn't last for very long. I thought it might have lasted longer, but all of a sudden I heard Pierre's voice, and he kept saying, "Come on home, come on home."
Oh.
And so I ended up, all of a sudden, I was surrounded by my family, my father, my mother, and I was actually at my home in Poland.
Oh.
So I was in my home with all my sisters and my family, and Pierre was there, and so yeah, it was almost like a reunion, a family reunion. And I remember thinking, wow, heaven looks like my maternal home. So I was a little surprised by that. But then they took me further and they showed me places, and that was really nice to see. But yeah, at first I experienced some darkness, but I
Okay.
heard a voice and I knew, wait a minute, somebody's calling me. So I was kind of pulled towards the voice.
Exactly. Oops, my phone. Okay. Did you believe in reincarnation at the time? I mean, in your life? Can you describe a life, another life, past, present, I mean, past or future or present, that you think influenced your life as Marcia Curie? Feels funny calling you Marcia.
Eric's going past, future, present. It's all the same shit.
I know, Eric, I know. But for us earthlings, us mere mortals.
For the earthlings. Um, she's showing me a life as a little girl. Not really sure what time zone.
Marcia, tell her the time period and the place.
She's showing me, I don't know if you've ever heard that show, Little Girl on the Prairie.
Oh, yeah.
That time zone with the big
Okay.
dresses and little booties. That's what it looks like. But it looks like they lived very remote. It looks like they kind of lived in a forest, just with her mama. She's saying her father had passed away when she was really, really young. And so she was left with her mama, and her mama was what you would call a doctor nowadays.
Oh.
She used herbs, she used all kinds of plants to make medicine to help people physically, mentally. And she helped her mother in that. She liked it. She liked making the little things and
Oh.
squishing things. And she kind of took that into her life as Marcia. But she really liked making the different medicine and combining all the different ingredients. It was almost like cooking, she says, you know. But I was just grateful I got to spend time with mom. They had a really close connection. It seems like they only had each other, so they were very remote from everybody. And they did have people who would come over from the city that was close by. They did help a lot of women. They also helped women who were raped, who had to give birth to a baby. They would help with the baby, finding it a home, and things like that. Or even doing a C-section or a cesarean, or I don't know. So she did a lot of stuff that wasn't allowed. And those days, she did a lot of things that were not considered to be done. So, although she helped so many people, and that's how they kind of got some money, they were eventually labeled as witches.
Oh, great.
So she says, my life was really about finding love and compassion for people, although they turned against them later on, still understanding that those people were just performing their rage or showing up as, yeah, we're angry, because they were fearful for their own life, because they were fearful that they might be judged because they were asking for their help or their assistance. So it was all about acceptance, acceptance and love from between a mother and a daughter. It was about that unconditional bond.
What happened to you guys?
We were hung. Next to each other. So we died together. We crossed over together. And yeah, we were hand in hand when we crossed over. So we never left each other.
How old were you? How old were you at the time?
When I died, I was 12.
Oh, gosh. Well, are you currently on the earthly plane in some form?
She says, I am.
Can you tell me about that?
I took a little bit of a different turn. She says, it's my continuation in accepting grief, in growing from that grief, and finding yourself in that grief. How do you respond? How do you react? And how do you use that grief to stimulate your own growth? So I'm still continuing that lesson in this life. Only in this life, I've traded my passion for science and combined it with the spiritual awakening and the spiritual awareness. So I'm taking in, I've changed from believing 100% in what I could see into trying, I am saying trying to believe 100% in what I can't see. So that's where we're evolving right now. And Pierre is also with me in that life.
Okay. Can you tell me more about the woman you are now? Who are you?
Well, she says, I don't want to reveal her identity because I don't want her to be attacked.
Well, is it somebody I know?
She's saying yes.
It's somebody I am acquainted with. Is it a blog member?
Yes.
Okay. Is Pierre her husband Greg?
Yes.
Okay, well, the mystery is gone. Okay, that's fine. She said you have permission to reveal her name, but it's not necessary.
She says, I prefer not to.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so okay, let me see. She has other questions here. She also wants to know. This blog member wants to know if she should connect with her granddaughter Helene, and if so, how? I mean, she's like, no, Marcia, your granddaughter Helene, who is 89 years old. Should she connect with her and let her know that, hey, I'm Madame Curie, come back?
She says you can give it a try, but I don't think you'll have a lot of success.
Yeah. Okay. It's amazing because y'all have the same wedding anniversary. Yeah.
And also have the same trademarks.
Okay. Now, your personality now as this blog member is quite different from your personality as Madame Curie. What
Mm-hmm.
characteristics do you think you share?
Passion for knowledge.
Okay.
Understanding.
Okay.
We're both very different.
In what way?
I was very timid. I was very pulled back.
Reserved, yeah.
I was very reserved. I didn't really care for being a celebrity or being in the star. That didn't really do anything for me. I was very pulled back, not very social.
Okay.
In my work, I knew people, but it was mostly, scientists and just to get grants and get money and get support
Right.
and that. When it came to friends, I had none.
Oh gosh.
My new me is very social. She loves attention. She loves to share her knowledge with everybody as well, which is something I did like doing. I liked to share. I did teach. I was one of the first female professors in France.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I took over for Pierre when he passed away. I took over his class. And that was a first ever. So I did like to share what I knew. I just didn't like the whole social thing.
I understand. Now, and
Yeah.
of course, in this current life, you had to experience another loss. Why is that?
Again, to try and grow from this loss instead of me hiding from it in different areas. Instead of escaping it, this time I really made sure that that it led to more growth and more spiritual awareness. It's very important.
So you think this person you are now has succeeded more in the area of acceptance of that loss?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, that's great. Now, do you have any final messages for us at all? Any message or advice? We could use a lot.
She says, like I said, don't let fear bring you down. Don't let fear control you. Instead, try and understand the fear and therefore understand yourself and understand the universe around you.
I love that
Uh,
message. There's nothing to fear but fear itself, as Winston Churchill said. I just love it. That's great. Can you share anything new about you that we don't know about? It can be small or big. Doesn't make any difference.
she says, well, it's kind of silly. I don't know if that's of any importance.
Silly is right up my alley. Go for it, girl.
Well, she says, as a child, I had a little bear that I had gotten from my mother. And all the way into adulthood, I never separated from that bear. I carried that with me everywhere, but
I can imagine. You lost so much.
under my skirt.
Oh.
She says, you have to understand, in those days, we had corsets on, which really tightened me up. And so, but these wide skirts. So I had a little patch sewn in the inside of my skirt. Bear was always with me. And that was kind of um, my only feeling of my mom is with me. I didn't believe in the afterlife, but because she gave that to me, that was her. She was with me everywhere I went, and so I never left that.
So it's a way of you coping with the loss.
It was a way of keeping her close to me.
Yeah.
Um, Although I did have the idea that she was gone, there is nothing left, but it was my way of still holding on and not forgetting about her.
So you were close with your mom, I suppose, then, right?
Well, I didn't get a chance to be as close as I would have liked.
Yeah.
She got sick when I was pretty young, and
12, yeah.
yeah, so I did miss a whole lot.
Yeah.
And when you don't get any affection and I didn't understand why she wouldn't hug me or kiss me. Of course, she didn't want to give me the disease, but at that time I thought, why is she so distant? I don't understand. She's sick. I want to hug her. So, and then being raised by my dad, who I loved to bits. I adored my dad. I looked up to him. He was also a scientist. He was a mathematician, and he was a teacher as well, and so was my mom. I grew up with teachers. I did look up to my father, but his way of affection was more fatherly. It wasn't the close bond that you have.
Motherly. Wasn't real nurturing.
Yes.
And yet you
It was
knew
more,
he loved you, I guess, right?
it was more educational. It was more distant. But I knew he loved me. He wanted everything for me. And where we lived, of course, we were restricted. She says another thing that you might not know about me. I was kind of a wild kid. When I was about 16, 17, I would drink and dance and go. I would go crazy in the park.
Oh, that's
I
good.
did.
I can imagine. With all your losses, you had to let go.
Yeah.
And with your father and his very reserved form of fathering, yeah.
I did an outlet, and at that time, around that age, I did have friends that I hang out with in Poland, and I did go crazy. We would drink and really till we passed out and dance, and it was pretty crazy in the bars. However, once I moved to France, all of that changed.
Yeah, why were you friendless? I don't understand. When you were so social, why did you become so friendless?
I couldn't connect to the people in France.
Oh.
It was different. I was also very homesick.
Oh, yeah.
But I know that I couldn't go home because I wasn't allowed to study in my home because Poland was under Russian rule and women were not allowed to go to university. So I had no choice than to go to Paris and with my sister, who, we kind of helped each other out, but I had no choice. but I never really warmed up to, sorry, French people, but I never did. I never really warmed
Okay.
up. Why? There was just a distance. And then I really got into my research, and then I totally closed myself off. So,
Okay. That makes
how it,
sense. Now, Erik, do you have anything you
so
want to
yeah,
ask Marsha?
I don't have any questions. I'm just asking if Erik has a question. He's changed his outfit now.
Cleaned up a little bit?
Yeah. Doesn't seem to have any questions. He just seems to, he has this energy of awe, this
Oh,
kind
okay.
of energy of what do you call it?
Respect for her?
Yes, respect, and um, not just for who she is, but for her achievements and for what she brought to the world.
Yeah.
Um, Radioactivity, cancer treatments, X-rays. That's all her. He says she did all
That's
that shit.
amazing. She did
You
all
know,
that shit. All right.
he
Awesome.
says she was the first woman who said, you know what, fuck you and fuck you. I'm gonna do this shit
All
anyway.
right. Only as Erik could say.
Yes, I respect that.
Oh, Marsha, what do you think about his curse words and the way he describes you?
She's laughing. She says, that's okay. I know what he means.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's
She's
awesome. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you would want to share before we close?
She says, well, there's so much on the internet. I'm pretty sure everybody can see my whole story. She just says, make sure that for every person individually, that you understand that in order for us to find peace and balance in the world, we need to start understanding each other.
That's right. It's all about understanding,
All about
finding
knowledge.
out knowledge. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for what you've done to the world, and I really appreciate the words you and the wisdom you've given us, especially the thing about fear. That's just blew my mind. So thank you, Marsha.
She's saying you're very welcome. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Have a wonderful afterlife.
I will, she says, and I'll have a wonderful new life as well.
That's right. All right, guys, be sure that you check out Emma on emmanuelmacintosh.com. I'll put it somewhere around here. Also, be sure to check out Erik's book, My Life After Death, A Memoir from Heaven. If you want to know what it's going to be like when you die, exactly what's going to happen when you cross over, and what your afterlife is going to be like, it's a very good book, a big page turner. Anything else, Emma, you want to share?
Yeah, go check out the blog, www.channelingericwithak.com. It's amazing. Start from the beginning and work your way up, because there's a lot of interviews on there.
And a lot of other things. All right. Bye, Emma. Bye, Erik. I love you both.
Love you too. Bye, Mama. Mwah.
Bye,
Bye,
sweetie.
guys.